The eclipse rises. The holographic display bathed Captain Maya Reeves in cold blue light as she circled the rotating projection. At 43, her face bore the marks of a career spent defending humanity's fragile position in the stars. A thin scar along her jawline, eyes that had seen too much, and the permanent crease between her brows that never fully relaxed anymore. They said it couldn't be done, Dr. Elijah Kwan said softly beside her, his voice barely rising above the hum of the projection equipment. The chief engineer's fingers danced through the display, expanding sections of the massive vessel. They said we weren't developmentally ready for this kind of technology. Maya studied the sleek lines of the warship, humanity's secret answer to a galaxy that had grown increasingly hostile toward Earth and its colonies. The eclipse, she murmured, fits the name. The vessel that hovered before them represented everything the Galactic Conclave had expressly forbidden Earth from developing. Its hull was composed of adaptive metamaterials that could absorb and redirect energy. Its propulsion system utilized principles of dimensional folding that the oldest spacefaring races guarded jealously. But most remarkable was its core, a singularity manipulation system that allowed the eclipse to bend light, energy, and even gravity around itself. "Admiral Zhu wants you to take command," Elijah said, watching her reaction carefully. "Full operational status in 3 weeks." Maya's eyes widened. "That's impossible. The final integration tests alone would take. We don't have months, Captain." The voice came from behind them as Admiral Lin Zhao entered the secure chamber, the doors sealing behind her with a pneumatic hiss. "The Conclave representatives are demanding more oversight of our military programs. They'd scheduled an inspection tour of our facilities next month." The Admiral was a compact woman with steel-gray hair, cropped short, and eyes that missed nothing. She'd been fighting the political battle to secure humanity's future among the stars for over 2 decades. "They suspect?" Maya asked. "They always suspect," Zhao replied, joining them at the holographic display. "But they don't know. Not yet." The Galactic Conclave consisted of the 12 oldest spacefaring civilizations in the known galaxy. When humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel 60 years ago, the Conclave had welcomed them with open arms and restrictive treaties. They spoke of guidance, protection, and humanity's eventual ascension to full Conclave membership. But decades had passed, and the restrictions remained firmly in place, while the promises grew increasingly hollow. "What happened?" Maya asked, recognizing the urgency in the Admiral's tone. "Proxima Colony went dark 6 hours ago." Maya felt her stomach drop. Her younger sister was stationed at the research outpost on Proxima Centauri V. "Communications failure." "No," Zhao said grimly. "The Vorax found them." The room fell silent. The Vorax Dominion existed beyond Conclave space, a predatory empire that occasionally raided border worlds. The Conclave claimed to protect younger species from the Vorax threat, yet somehow human colonies suffered these attacks with suspicious frequency. "How bad?" Elijah whispered. "Bad enough," Zhao replied. "But there's more. Our long-range sensors detected Conclave energy signatures mixed with the Vorax fleet." "You're saying the Conclave is working with them?" Maya's voice hardened. "I'm saying someone is supplying them with advanced technology, and the timing of these attacks is never random." Zhao's eyes locked with Maya's. 3 hours before the attack, we received a Conclave request for full disclosure of all projects at Proxima Station. Maya felt cold fury building inside her. They'd wanted to know what we were researching before they hit us. "This wasn't the first time," Zhao confirmed, "but I intend for it to be the last. The eclipse launches in 2 weeks, ready or not." "With respect, Admiral, an untested vessel of this complexity," Elijah began, "will have to be tested in the field." Zhou cut him off. "You'll remain aboard as technical advisor, Dr. Kwan. Select your essential team. Everyone else completes their work remotely." Maya studied the rotating hologram again, seeing it with new eyes. Not just a ship, a declaration of independence. The Conclave will see this as a violation of at least 6 different treaties. Treaties they've been systematically violating, Zhao countered. While keeping us technologically leashed and diplomatically isolated, we've played by their rules for 60 years while they've moved the goalposts repeatedly. No more. The Admiral gestured, and the hologram expanded to show the galaxy map. Thousands of stars, hundreds of civilizations, and humanity's dozen colonies marked in blue, tiny islands in a vast and increasingly dangerous sea. The eclipse isn't just a warship, Captain, Zhao said softly. It's a negotiation tool. Once the Conclave sees what we're capable of, they'll have to reconsider our status. Maya wasn't so sure. In her experience, entrenched powers rarely relinquished control willingly. But she kept that thought to herself. I'll need to select my crew. Already done. Zhao handed her a data tablet. 200 of our best. Everyone with combat experience and the right psychological profile for this mission. Maya scrolled through the names, recognizing many. Veterans who had fought in the various pirate skirmishes that seemed to target Earth's most innovative research outposts with uncanny precision. One more thing, Zhao added, her voice dropping. The Conclave Council has requested an emergency session. They're claiming they have evidence of prohibited technological development within Earth Alliance territory. How could they know? Elijah asked, alarmed. They don't know specifics, Zhao reassured him. But they're not fools. Our energy consumption at this facility alone would raise questions. That's why we're accelerating the timeline. The eclipse needs to be gone before they arrive. 2 weeks later, Maya stood on the command deck of the Eclipse as the massive vessel prepared for its first test flight. Around her, crew members worked with the intensity of people who understood exactly what was at stake. Phase shift drive is online but showing fluctuations, Elijah reported from his station. I'd prefer another 3 days of calibration. We don't have 3 days, Maya replied, settling into the captain's chair. Status report. All systems operational within acceptable parameters. Commander Sato, her executive officer, replied. Defensive systems at 92% capacity. Weapons arrays at 87%. That will have to do. Maya opened a ship-wide channel. All hands, secure for departure. We are leaving Earth orbit in 5 minutes. As the countdown proceeded, Maya thought of her sister and the thousands of colonists at Proxima. According to the latest reports, the Vorax had withdrawn after their initial assault, but not before destroying key infrastructure and making off with research data and prototypes. The pattern was familiar, surgical strikes that set back human development, while leaving just enough survivors to rebuild and create more technology for the next raid. Captain, her communications officer called out suddenly. Priority message from Admiral Zhu. Maya nodded, and Zhou's face appeared on the main screen. The Admiral looked grim. The Conclave delegation has arrived early, she said without preamble. They're demanding an immediate tour of all facilities. I'm stalling, but you need to launch now. Understood, Maya replied. We're ready. There's more, Zhao continued. We've detected unusual energy signatures near Jupiter. Ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel, not Conclave registry. Vorax? Maya asked, tension rippling through the command deck. Consistent with their propulsion signature, yes. A large force, at least 20 vessels. Zhao's expression was stone. They're coming for Earth, Maya. The implications were staggering. The Vorax had never struck this deep into developed space before. And the timing, with the Conclave representatives conveniently present to help, couldn't be coincidence. We'll intercept them, Maya said firmly. The Eclipse wasn't designed for full fleet engagement, Elijah protested. The phase systems haven't been tested at combat capacity. Then this will be the test, Maya replied, turning to her tactical officer. Plot an intercept course. Maximum stealth approach. As the Eclipse silently departed Earth orbit, Maya considered the board before her. For the first time in humanity's spacefaring history, they had a ship that could potentially match the technology of the ancient races, but they were heading toward a force that outnumbered them 20-1. The journey to Jupiter took less than an hour with the Eclipse's advanced drive, a voyage that would have required days for any other human vessel. They emerged from faster-than-light travel in the shadow of Europa, sensors immediately cataloging the Vorax fleet arranged in attack formation. "They haven't detected us," Commander Seto reported with surprise. "Dimensional masking is working," Elijah confirmed, a note of pride in his voice. "We're effectively invisible to conventional sensors." Maya studied the tactical display. The Vorax ships, angular and predatory, with their characteristic blood-red hulls, were forming up for a jump to Earth orbit. Their design hadn't changed in the centuries they'd been raiding civilizations along the galactic rim, but their weapons had steadily improved, almost as if they were being upgraded by someone with access to advanced technology. "We need to disrupt their formation before they can jump," Maya decided. "Tactical, target their command vessel. Prepare to fire phase cannons at maximum yield." "Captain," Elijah warned, "the weapons haven't been fully calibrated. At maximum yield, there could be cascade feedback through the ship's systems." "Noted," Maya replied grimly. "But we're not getting a second chance at this. Weapons officer, on my mark." The Eclipse glided silently through Jupiter's magnetic field, approaching the Vorax fleet from what would be considered below in spatial terms. On Maya's command, the dimensional masking field dropped, and the Eclipse revealed itself to the enemy. Fire. The phase cannons discharged, beams of coherent energy unlike anything humanity had officially developed. The weapons utilized principles of quantum state manipulation, causing matter to briefly exist in multiple states simultaneously. When the beam struck the command vessel, sections of its hull simply ceased to exist in our dimension before catastrophically reintegrating. The effect was devastating. The Vorax command ship didn't just take damage. Entire sections vanished and then collapsed inward as the laws of physics reasserted themselves. Secondary explosions rippled through its structure as power systems overloaded. "Direct hit," Tactical reported with awe in his voice. "Enemy command vessel critically damaged. They're responding," Sato warned as the remaining Vorax ships broke formation, weapons powering up. "Activate defensive phase shift," Maya ordered. "Evasive pattern delta." The Eclipse's true power revealed itself as energy beams from the Vorax vessels passed harmlessly through its hull, which had partially shifted out of normal space-time. Where shots did connect, the adaptive hull absorbed and redistributed the energy. "Phase drive is fluctuating," Elijah called out in warning. "We can't maintain defensive shifting for more than a few minutes." "We don't need long," Maya replied. "Target their propulsion systems, sequential firing pattern. Let's disable them rather than destroy if possible." As the Eclipse danced between Vorax energy blasts, its own weapons systematically targeted the engines of the alien vessels. Within minutes, 5 more ships drifted powerless, while 3 had been destroyed outright when their reactor containment failed. The remaining Vorax vessels suddenly broke off their attack, accelerating away from Jupiter at maximum sublight speed. "They're retreating," Sato reported with disbelief. "No," Maya said quietly, watching the tactical display. "They're regrouping. Look." In the distance, more ships were dropping out of faster-than-light travel, but these weren't Vorax designs. The sleek, organic curves and pearlescent hulls were unmistakably conclave vessels. "How convenient," Maya muttered. "The cavalry arrives." "We're being hailed," communications reported. "It's High Counselor Thal of the Conclave." Maya straightened in her chair. On screen, the image of an elongated, silver-skinned being appeared. Thal was an Arcadian, one of the founding races of the Conclave, rumored to have been traveling the stars when humans were still mastering fire. Unknown vessel, Thal's voice was melodious yet cold. "You are operating in restricted space, utilizing prohibited technologies. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded in the name of the Conclave." Maya rose from her chair. This is Captain Maya Reeves of the Earth Alliance vessel Eclipse. We are defending our home system from Vorax aggression. Aggression you arrived suspiciously late to counter. Fall's silver eyes narrowed. The technologies you have employed are strictly forbidden to non-ascended species. Your use of dimensional phase weaponry alone violates 7 Conclave directives. Funny, Maya replied, how those same technologies appear in Vorax hands when they raid our colonies. Colonies your Conclave vessels consistently fail to protect despite treaty obligations. A serious accusation, Fall said coldly. One that will be investigated after your vessel is secured. Comply immediately or face the consequences. Incoming transmission from Earth. Communications interrupted. It's Admiral Zhou. The screen split to show Zhou's face alongside Thal's. The Admiral appeared composed despite the tension evident in her eyes. The Eclipse is operating under my direct authority, Zhou stated. Any action against it will be considered an act of war against Earth. You have no standing to make such declarations, Fall countered. Earth is a protectorate, not a sovereign power in interstellar law. That status was imposed, not chosen, Zhou replied. And it ends today. The Eclipse has evidence of Conclave technology being provided to the Vorax for use against human colonies. Data that will be transmitted to every world in the galaxy if anything happens to the ship. Maya watched silently as the diplomatic battle unfolded alongside the physical standoff. The Conclave vessels had taken position around the disabled Vorax ships, but had not yet moved against the Eclipse. We've detected unusual energy readings from the Conclave flagship, Elijah reported quietly. They're powering weapons. Defensive phase shift ready, tactical confirmed. Hold, Maya ordered. Let's see how this plays out. On screen, Thal's expression had hardened. Your development of this vessel represents a fundamental breach of trust. The Conclave will have to reconsider Earth's status completely. We look forward to that renegotiation, Zhou replied coolly. As equals this time, not as subjects. The Eclipse will remain on station to ensure the Vorax threat is neutralized. Afterward, we welcome substantive talks about humanity's place in the galactic community. After a tense silence, Thal inclined his head slightly. We will secure the Vorax vessels. The Eclipse will maintain its current position. This incident will be addressed in due course. As the transmission ended, Maya exchanged a look with her crew. Everyone understood that nothing would be the same after today. For better or worse, humanity had revealed its hand. The real battle is just beginning, Maya said quietly, returning to her captain's chair and watching as the Conclave ships began collecting the disabled Vorax vessels. In the silence of the command deck, she wondered what price humanity would ultimately pay for its defiance, and whether the Eclipse would prove to be their salvation or their doom. Defiance among the stars. 3 days after the confrontation at Jupiter, Maya stood in Earth's orbital defense headquarters as the diplomatic fallout continued to rain down on humanity. On the massive central display, feeds from across the solar system showed Conclave vessels taking position at strategic points, not openly hostile, but a clear message nonetheless. They're calling it a peacekeeping action, Admiral Zhou said, disgust evident in her voice as she joined Maya at the observation window. Beyond the reinforced transparent steel, the Eclipse hung in synchronous orbit, surrounded by a defensive screen of Earth's conventional warships. Apparently, our reckless technological development requires additional oversight. And the evidence we recovered from the Vorax ships? Maya asked, keeping her voice low despite the secure room. Zhao's expression darkened. Buried. The Conclave Council has refused to even review it. High Counselor Thal claims the memory cores were corrupted during retrieval. Convenient, since they're the ones who insisted on handling the recovery operation. The evidence had been damning. Conclave energy signatures in Vorax weapon systems, communication logs showing coordinates and timing of vulnerable human outposts, and most incriminating, manufacturing markers from the Arcadian shipyards on critical components. So they're just going to pretend it never happened, Maya said, feeling a familiar anger rising within her, while simultaneously demanding we surrender the Eclipse for decommissioning. Zhao confirmed. The full Conclave Council arrives tomorrow for what they're calling an emergency session on prohibited technologies. 17 representatives from the elder races, all united in their determination to put humanity back in its place. Maya studied the eclipse through the window. The vessel represented humanity's greatest achievement, and now potentially their greatest liability. What does the Security Council say? She asked, referring to Earth's highest governing body. They're divided, Zhao admitted. Some want to capitulate, surrender the eclipse, and return to the safety of conclave protection. Others see this as our only opportunity to break free of their control. The vote is scheduled for tomorrow, just before the conclave delegation arrives. A junior officer approached with a data tablet, handing it to Zhou before retreating. The Admiral's eyes narrowed as she read the contents. What is it? Maya asked. The Vega colony is reporting unusual activity at the edge of their system, Zhao replied. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL. Signature unknown. Vorax? No, something else. Zhao handed her the tablet. But the energy readings are similar to conclave technology. Maya studied the sensor data with growing concern. They're testing us, seeing how we'll respond with the eclipse, or creating a pretense for more direct intervention. Zhou agreed. Either way, I need you and the eclipse ready for immediate deployment. If the Security Council votes against surrender, things could escalate quickly. The next morning, Maya returned to the eclipse, feeling the tension that had settled over the ship and its crew. Everyone understood what was at stake, not just their vessel, but potentially humanity's future among the stars. The conclave delegation has entered Earth orbit, Commander Seto reported as Maya reached the command deck. 17 ships, including High Counselor Thal's flagship. Any word on the Security Council vote? Maya asked, taking her seat. Still in session, Seto replied. It's been deadlocked for hours. Elijah approached from his station, his expression troubled. Captain, there's something you should see. He handed her a data tablet displaying complex energy readings. We've been analyzing the sensor data from our engagement with the Vorax. There's something unusual about their retreat. Maya studied the readings. Explain. The Vorax ships didn't just run, Elijah said. They were recalled. We detected a directed quantum entanglement signal immediately before they broke off their attack. A communication method that should be exclusive to high-level conclave technology. Proving the connection, Maya murmured. There's more, Elijah continued. The signal originated from the Arcadian sector, not from any of the ships present in our system. The implications were clear. The attack hadn't been a random Vorax raid. It had been coordinated from the heart of conclave space. Have you reported this to Admiral Zhou? Maya asked. Attempting to now, Seto cut in. But there's interference across all channels to Earth. The conclave is claiming it's solar storm activity, but our sensors show no such disturbance. They're isolating us, Maya realized, cutting us off before the Security Council can reach a decision. A priority alert sounded from the tactical station. Captain, we're detecting multiple energy spikes from the conclave vessels. They're powering weapon systems and raising shields. Maya's decision crystallized instantly. Red alert. Bring all systems to combat readiness. Communications, keep trying to reach Admiral Zhou. Use tight beam transmission if you have to. Captain, the tactical officer called out. The Vega colony just sent an emergency transmission before being cut off. They're under attack by unknown forces. On screen, Maya ordered. The main display showed fragmented footage of sleek vessels, not Vorax design, but something new, firing on the Vega colony's defensive platforms. The attackers moved with precision, targeting communication arrays and sensor installations with surgical accuracy. Those are Shadraxian vessels, Elijah said with surprise. The Shadraxians are a client race of the Arcadians. They don't have independent interstellar capability. They do if someone gave it to them, Maya replied grimly. Just like the Vorax. It's the same playbook. Create a crisis, offer protection, and use it to justify tighter control. Incoming transmission. Communications announced. It's High Counselor Thal. The Arcadian's silver face appeared on screen, his expression one of practiced concern. Captain Reeves, a grave situation has developed. Mercenary forces have launched an attack on one of your colonies. The Conclave is mobilizing to respond. But given the distance, substantial damage may occur before our vessels can arrive. How unfortunate, Maya replied coldly, almost as if it were timed precisely when your entire delegation was meeting with our leadership. Thal's expression didn't change. Your insinuation is noted, Captain. However, the immediate concern is the safety of your colonists. As your vessel possesses unique capabilities, the Conclave would not object to your intervention at Vega. In fact, we encourage it. Maya saw the trap immediately. With the eclipse gone, Earth would be vulnerable, and the vessel itself could be ambushed once it reached Vega. Your concern is touching, Counselor, she replied. However, as the Security Council has yet to determine Earth's official response to recent events, the eclipse will maintain its current defensive position. The situation at Vega is dire, Thal pressed. Surely you would not abandon your own people due to political considerations. Before Maya could respond, her tactical officer signaled urgently. Captain, we're detecting power buildups in the Conclave vessels. They're activating some kind of suppression field. Maya ended the transmission abruptly. They're making their move. Full defensive protocols. Activate the phase shift drive. The eclipse hummed as its revolutionary systems came online. Around them, the conventional Earthships had begun to drift, their systems affected by whatever the Conclave vessels were projecting. Earth Defense Headquarters is reporting total systems failure, Sato warned. The Conclave suppression field is affecting all standard technology throughout Earth orbit. But not us, Maya noted, watching as the eclipse's systems remain stable. They don't fully understand our technology yet. Captain, communications called out. I've established a secure channel to Admiral Zhao. Audio only. Zhao's voice came through, tense but controlled. Maya, the Conclave has paralyzed our defenses. They're claiming it's a precautionary measure while they evaluate the technological contamination. But it's effectively a blockade. The Security Council vote is moot now. We're under Conclave control. Orders, Admiral. Maya asked, already suspecting the answer. There was a brief pause before Zhou replied. The Eclipse is the only Earth vessel still operational. You need to break out, get clear of the solar system. We have contingency sites established in the Ta-CD system. Rendezvous there with any forces you can gather, and leave Earth defenseless. Maya questioned. Earth is already defenseless, Zhao replied bluntly. But as long as the eclipse exists, humanity has a chance. The ship carries our most advanced research and the evidence of Conclave duplicity. That cannot fall into their hands. Maya understood the logic, even as she rebelled against the idea of retreat. There's something else, she said. We've detected Conclave involvement in both the Vorax attacks and this new assault on Vega. They're deliberately creating crises to justify intervention. I suspected as much. Zhao's voice hardened. Maya, this isn't just about military control. This is about keeping humanity dependent. Our advancements in the past decade have accelerated beyond their projections. The Eclipse isn't just a warship. It's proof that their developmental timeline for us is wrong. Or that they've been deliberately holding us back, Maya suggested. Exactly. That's why you need to go. Now, the longer the Eclipse survives, the more chance we have of exposing the truth to other races within the Conclave. As if to punctuate the Admiral's words, the tactical officer called out, Conclave vessels are moving to surround us. Their weapons are fully charged. Maya made her decision. Helm, prepare for emergency departure. Plot a course that minimizes exposure to civilian infrastructure. She returned to the comm channel. "Admiral, we'll break out, but not to retreat. The Vega colony needs help, and we'll expose the Conclave's game in the process. Be careful, Maya," Ja warned. "If I'm right, this goes beyond the Arcadians. Multiple Conclave factions may be involved in suppressing emerging species. Then it's time someone exposed them," Maya replied. "Eclipse out." She turned to her crew, seeing determination in their eyes despite the nearly impossible situation they faced. "Tactical, identify the weakest point in their formation. Helm, prepare for maximum acceleration on my mark. Engineering will need everything the phase drive can give us." Elijah nodded from his station. "The drive is stable, but I can't guarantee what will happen at maximum output. We haven't tested the theoretical limits. Today we find out," Maya said simply. She opened the ship-wide channel. "All hands, secure for combat maneuvers. We are breaking through the Conclave blockade." The Eclipse surged forward, its phase drive allowing it to partially exist outside normal spacetime. Energy beams from the Conclave vessels passed through the ship with minimal effect, while its own weapons fire remained devastating against conventional shields. "They're adjusting their attack pattern," Tactical reported as the Eclipse punched through the initial line of ships, attempting to match our phase frequency. "Vary the harmonic output," Elijah called out. "Random pattern, 3-second intervals." The ship shuddered as a conclave beam partially connected, the adaptive hull absorbing and redistributing the energy. "They're learning," Maya noted grimly. "Helm, maximum acceleration. Get us clear of Earth's gravity well for the jump to Vega." As the Eclipse raced outward, more conclave vessels moved to intercept. Their formation was precise, designed to channel the Earth ship into a prepared kill zone. "They anticipated this," Sato observed. "Of course they did," Maya replied. "They've been planning this for years, but they still don't fully understand what the Eclipse can do." She turned to Elijah. "Doctor, what would happen if we executed a phase jump while still within a gravity well?" Elijah's eyes widened. "The gravitational distortion would create a cascading ripple through spacetime, essentially a temporary wormhole. But the calculations would be incredibly complex, and the energy requirements. Could our systems handle it?" Maya pressed. "Theoretically, yes," Elijah replied hesitantly. "But I wouldn't recommend." "Calculate the jump," Maya ordered. "Direct to Vega. The Conclave expects us to follow conventional FTL protocols and clear the gravity well first. We're not going to do that." As Elijah worked frantically at his station, the tactical situation continued to deteriorate. More Conclave ships joined the blockade, their weapons becoming increasingly effective as they analyzed the Eclipse's defenses. "Jump calculations complete," Elijah announced. "But Captain, this has never been attempted. The phase drive will be operating well beyond designed parameters." "Noted," Maya replied. "Helm, execute on my mark." She surveyed her crew, seeing the tension and determination on their faces. Whatever happens next changes everything. For the Eclipse, for Earth, for the galaxy. The Conclave has controlled the narrative for too long. Today, we start writing our own story. As the Conclave vessels closed in for what they believed would be the decisive engagement, Maya gave the command. "Jump." The Eclipse's phase drive engaged at full power, not just shifting the ship partially out of spacetime, but punching a hole through it. Earth's gravity well, rather than hindering the process, acted as a gravitational lens, focusing the energy and creating a phenomenon never before witnessed in human space. A brilliant flash of light engulfed the Eclipse as space itself seemed to fold around the vessel. When it faded, the ship was gone, leaving behind a temporary quantum disturbance that disrupted the Conclave vessel's sensors and communication networks. The transition was violent. Warning alarms blared throughout the Eclipse as systems overloaded and emergency protocols activated. The ship tumbled through what Elijah would later term interstitial space, neither fully in normal reality, nor completely outside it. When they emerged, it was directly in the Vega system, a journey that should have taken days accomplished in moments. The Eclipse's systems were strained to the breaking point, power fluctuations cascading through critical components, but they had arrived. And they were not alone. The main view screen showed the attack on the Vega colony in progress. Shadraxian vessels methodically dismantling the colony's defenses while larger ships, unmistakably of Arcadian design, held position at the system's edge. "Record everything," Maya ordered, her voice steady despite the damage reports flooding in. "Full sensor sweep. Document every vessel, every energy signature." "Captain," Sedo called out, "the Arcadian ships are hailing us. They're surprised to see us." "I imagine they are," Maya replied with grim satisfaction. "Open a channel, not just to them, but broadcast on all frequencies. Let's make sure everyone in this system hears what happens next." As the channel opened, Maya stood from her captain's chair, facing the screen where an Arcadian commander appeared, silver face unable to completely mask his shock. "This is Captain Maya Reeves of the Earth Alliance vessel Eclipse," she began, her voice clear and unwavering. "We have arrived in response to the attack on the Vega colony, an attack being conducted by Shadraxian forces under Arcadian direction, while the Conclave holds Earth hostage under the pretense of security concerns." Captain Reeves, the Arcadian, responded smoothly, recovering his composure. "Your presence here is unexpected but irrelevant. The situation at Vega is being contained. Return to Earth immediately for your own safety." "I don't think so," Maya replied. "The Eclipse has documented evidence of Conclave involvement in orchestrated attacks against human colonies, including Arcadian technology provided to the Vorax, and now direct Arcadian oversight of this Shadraxian assault." She nodded to her communications officer, who began transmitting the compiled evidence on all frequencies. "This transmission is being broadcast not just here, but to every world within range," Maya continued. "The truth about how the mighty Conclave maintains its power, by systematically suppressing emerging species through manufactured crisis and technological restriction, will no longer remain hidden." On screen, the Arcadian commander's expression hardened. "You have no idea what forces you are interfering with, human. The stability of galactic civilization depends on controlled technological development. Species that advance too quickly inevitably destroy themselves or others. A convenient justification for what amounts to galactic scale suppression," Maya countered. "How many races have